All right. So I just immediately want to start by saying you don't have to do this.
I
You
do.
you don't have to do this. I'm I'm not mad that you are going to do this, but I just want to make it very clear that I believe you don't have to do this.
And we haven't told what this is, but this could make me a millionaire.
Yeah. I mean, we were discussing yesterday a little bit about it, but it could become somewhat of a money grab situation. And I mean, we are sort of recording the evidence that would, I guess, ruin your chances
That's
of
true.
making any money. But
If this goes to litigation, you got to bury this episode.
yes, I will immediately erase anything.
Thank you.
Um
I'll cut you in.
okay. All right. Look.
Now I think we're conspiracy. I think now we're really fucked. I think we go to jail for this.
Well, the only way we go to jail is if, you know, you file a claim, I think. If we just
Yeah.
talk, I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
What we're talking about is Gary got himself a Panera Bread charged lemonade.
That's right.
Uh,
Strawberry mint.
Strawberry mint. I mean, it sounds delicious and refreshing,
I want to go out good.
and that's how we're gonna do it. We're
This is my final meal.
sir, what would you like your death row meal to be? Let me get one of those Bread charged lemonades.
And then you just die, and they're like, we don't got to kill him now, I guess.
I guess maybe we should look at they just hire Panera Bread to be like a part of the prison system.
They're
They're like,
having trouble killing people anyway. Like they can't
yeah.
concoct the drugs anymore, so just feed them this.
Do you want the electric chair or do you want a refreshing beverage from Panera?
You get to sit in the sun on a lawn seat and just sip eight of these, and then you just die.
Yeah, you get to sit in a booth next to a guy who's got his laptop plugged in to the wall as he's speaking into a Bluetooth headset.
Yeah, you get to experience the finest parts of humanity one more time.
Yeah. And enjoy a beverage, but
Yeah.
you do have to meet them in the alleyway to purchase it.
So here's how I bought this. I went up to the kiosk and I put in charged lemonade, and then the woman smiled at me and complimented my fiance's hat. She's
Okay.
wearing like a beanie. It's snowing here. So we had to go early. I've had this actually for about 6 hours,
All
but I
right.
put it in the fridge because I was afraid the roads would get shitty. But anyway,
I love how
she
you risked your life
to get
in
this.
the snowy weather to also possibly die from a lemonade. So
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
appreciate it.
This is two times I've risked my life now. Still haven't been paid, but you know.
The check's in the mail. All
But
right,
yeah,
I'm
so
sorry. Go
anyways,
ahead.
I go right up to the lady. She hands me the lemonade. She doesn't even say like good luck, which I thought is customary. I thought that they probably had to
He
legally.
salutes you.
Yeah, she's like, take it easy. But I
They start
want
checking your blood pressure. They have a blood pressure machine at the
they just
register. They're like,
yeah,
sir, if you could just put your wrist inside this
yeah.
device.
She put it right. She cuffed me with the blood pressure and she was like, let's check this first before I fulfill this order.
As long as you're only in pre-hypertension, you're allowed to purchase a lemonade.
Right. They should have checked me. I
Yeah.
could sue them. I swear to God, if I drink this whole thing, this is not, I'm not joking. If I drink this whole thing, I would be in dire straits, dude.
You should not drink the entire thing.
I will not.
Okay, good. I think I think the idea here is what to at least you gave it a little sip, but you're gonna try the beverage
I'll sip
and
it through the episode. Yeah.
you'll sip it through the episode, and then we'll see how you. I mean, dude, if we really wanted to do it, do you have any way of checking your heart rate?
Yeah, I have a watch.
Perfect.
All
Okay.
right, let's
Are
do
you
that. Okay.
comfortable sharing your heart rate?
Yeah, yeah, no problem. I'll do it right now. I'm at
Okay,
74 right now.
beautiful. Okay, so start of the episode, your heart rate is at 74.
Hmm.
I would be very curious to see if we could bump that bad boy up a little bit by
I bet I bet I bet I could get 30 points on this. I'm pretty
by
sure, dude.
the end of the episode.
Yeah.
This is basically a science experiment at this point. We're doing it for science.
Yes. And this is unofficial, by the way. So we can't get in any trouble.
I mean, how incredible if we were able, if we were just at a different level that we could get Panera to sponsor the episode. They're
After
like,
this,
I'm gonna clip a part of this episode and send it. I'm gonna find the PR team. I'm gonna get an email, and
you're gonna get a you're gonna get a cease and desist.
we're gonna find out. I'm probably gonna do that. I got a lot of free time right now. All right,
You
so
do.
Gary is going to casually enjoy a charged lemonade from Panera while we
We can.
do what I'm just considering. I guess this is going to be like a little bit of a bonus episode for us here, considering this is the Obsessed with Death podcast, and I wouldn't say I had a close call or any sort of brush with death, but is that the correct saying? Brush?
Yeah, I mean, a brush with death is like
Is
I
that
think of
it?
it as like a car accident, like a bad car accident.
But
But
am
yeah,
I
what
even
you
saying that right?
yeah,
is that something people say? A brush with
yeah.
that doesn't sound right.
Brush. It is. It is a
Okay,
brush
okay,
with death. I don't know why they say it. I'll find out.
give that a Google. Um, so I just spent 7 days in the hospital, and it feels appropriate to do a little recap for the Obsessed with Death podcast because I myself clearly very much obsessed with death. And when I started this podcast, the idea was obviously to have these conversations and sort of ease my nerves and maybe help with my fear of death and all of the stuff that comes with that. I never thought at any point during this show I would be documenting anything that had to do with me. And again, I don't feel like I was near death, but I will say this: the complications that I went through during these 7 days of the hospital. If you Google what happened to me, one of the possibilities is blood infections and organ failure. These are
Oh,
things that happen to people that have dealt with the same thing I am currently dealing with. So again, I didn't at no point were they, rubbing the chest compressor together and yelling clear and shocking me. But I mean, 7 days in the hospital is no joke.
and if you're talking about blood and organs, as far as I'm not a scientist, I'm no doctor, not a golfer even, but those are bad things to deal with as far as infection.
Well, yeah, I mean, if your kidneys fail, you usually die. If your liver stops working, there's a good chance you're not going to continue to live. Um, Blood infections can cause a lot of problems. We'll just start from the beginning here. I've talked about obviously what I was going through a little bit before, but essentially for the past 2 months, I've been dealing with a surgical wound. They call it a tunnel wound because I basically have had a hole in my leg for like 2 months now. I had like a skin irritation that turned like into a blister that basically turned into like an open wound. And then all of the tissue and the skin basically died and created this tunnel in my leg to the point where the doctor could take a tool and you could hear he could hit the metal that was in my leg. He could just go
Mm.
straight into my leg. For the past 2 months, I've been very carefully taking care of this wound by changing the dressings every day and putting very strong prescribed antibiotic creams on it and making and showering daily, obviously, and just keeping it very clean. But there was always the possibility that it could have gotten infected, that more bacteria could get into the wound, and then that's where it gets scary because if an infection or a dangerous bacteria gets into that wound, that means it could get into the bones or the joints, and then you have a bone infection, then you have a joint infection, and that's where it gets bad in the sense of blood infections or losing your foot. I had multiple doctors tell me that there was the possibility that, obviously worst case scenario, people have lost, an arm or a leg or a foot because of a surgical bacteria infection. Now, usually that happens because these people aren't taking care of their wounds or whatever. There's circumstances, but it can happen.
Did they come into your room and tell you that to your face? Like,
And so it was mostly
oh,
me being like, what's worst case scenario? What happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? Because I don't want to, at this point, I'm done Googling things. I don't want to Google. I have a fucking doctor standing in front of me. I'm not Googling anything. So I'm just asking. And I'm also telling them things I've Googled. I was told multiple times to stop Googling.
they told you that? The doctors were like, chill.
I had a nurse. It was like, what are you doing? You got to
Good.
stop. And
Nice.
she's right. And honestly, there was one nurse during my weekly visit there that I am going to try and figure out how to contact her boss and tell her boss how incredible she was and like she needs a raise or something because
Wow.
she was amazing. Everybody was great. She was just like she went like above and beyond a few times.
What was her
Um,
name?
her name was Liz. They don't give last names, but
Yeah.
shout out
Liz
Liz.
Liz is a great nurse name.
Liz, dude, she's the best. She was the absolute best. So I go to an appointment with the wound care surgeon that I'd been seeing. We tried multiple different things to try and get this tunnel wound to close. Uh, and by multiple things, I mean 2 months worth of trial and error to try and get this thing closed. I had a final appointment. I go to the appointment. The surgeon looks at my leg and he goes, "You need to go to the emergency room right now. Like,
Wow.
literally stand up and go to the hospital." Luckily, my appointment was in the hospital, so I just had to walk down the hallway. Basically, was just like the what we've been trying for the past 2 weeks is clearly not working, and there was some irritation and some redness around the wound at that time, which indicates possible infection. So he goes, there's nothing else we could do. You have to have surgery. Go to the emergency room right now." So first of all, we've talked about blood pressure on this podcast before. I go to the hospital. They, of course, immediately check your vitals. Dude, my blood pressure was like, could have killed a man. Like, if I
Really?
wasn't young and healthy, the nurse told me, she's like, this is concerning blood pressure right now.
Can you
I explained the situation to her and she got it. And she's like, okay, because if you're just like living with this blood pressure, you're going to die. And I was like, this is
right.
normally what my blood pressure is.
Okay, so just out of my own curiosity, because I've just
Yep.
had my blood pressure checked recently and they were
Yep.
like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Um,
What was it?
I don't want to say, but I would
Oh
like
no,
you to
I
say.
was gonna say, you want to know what
Yeah,
mine
yeah,
was?
what is yours? Yeah.
Dude, it was 150 over 101.
Oh, the 101 is high.
101 is very high. Yeah.
But your 101 was that's
The
butt
bottom
high.
number needs to be ideally your bottom number, you want it to be between 70 and 80. That's like
Oh,
ideal. Mine was 101.
holy shit.
The top number, you want it to be between like 120 and like 110, and mine was 150. So again, this is just me freaking out. By the time I get checked into the hospital and I'm in a bed and I'm speaking to a doctor and a nurse, my blood pressure went right back to normal. It was fine. But it was just that initial the surgeon being like, we gotta get going. You gotta go to the emergency room. We gotta get you checked in. Let's go.
So this is like shock,
It's
essentially?
yeah, shock. It's just I'm an anxious person already, man. Like, my blood pressure is always a little high, especially when you're at the doctor's office and you
Right.
know that you're I knew on that day that I was going to be told whether or not what we were trying was working, and I knew it was the last ditch effort before surgery. I was just hoping for good news. I'm doing all the fucking positive affirmation going into the doctor. I'm like, I'm going to get good news today. Today's going to be a good day. And then I get there and he goes, go to the emergency room.
Damn.
So,
Damn.
so yeah,
I'm
so I
gonna have
get
a
checked.
sip. I'm gonna have a sip to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Let's go. First sip of the episode.
Yo, bro, that was way more than I wanted to do, actually.
Yeah,
That
but
I that strong is thick, or that straw is huge.
should we what if we get you a shot glass and you just start shooting them?
No. guy only wants other people to end up in the emergency room with him. I'm not gonna visit you.
I no, okay. I get what I guess what I was trying to say was why don't you get like a small glass that you could sip from instead of just, get having this straw shoot it straight into your hole, mouth hole there. That way you
I,
can
I,
control it a
I,
little bit better.
I'm just gonna take smaller sips if you don't
Okay.
mind.
All right. Okay. You do whatever your heart desires because this
Yeah, my
will
heart
affect your
desires
heart.
none of this.
All right. So how do you feel? You good?
I feel fine.
Okay. All right.
I want to
First
hear.
sip.
I want to hear about you. And honestly, everyone needs to hear about you. This is the biggest fucking thing I think that you've. Is this the biggest thing you've ever been through medically?
Oh yeah, 100%.
And that's got to be terrifying. It's terrifying for everybody to go to fucking
Well,
hospitals and do medical
yeah.
stuff. But
So I go to the emergency room, I get checked in, or I get a bed in the ER, and they immediately just start taking blood. Like they do these thing called cultures, which
Mhm.
is basically, checking for like bacterial growth in your blood. So just immediately, just tubes and tubes and tubes of blood. So I'm just losing blood. I'm getting like an oil change basically right now.
Fun.
Um, I've got fresh blood in me for sure because they took so much blood. So they immediately start doing that, and then I have to get an X-ray on my ankle, and then I had to do a CAT scan on my ankle, which was basically so that they could check and see if there were any signs of bone or joint infection. So that's immediately nerve-wracking as well because they're like, look, there is the potential that you have bone or joint infection. Now, to be fair, I was showing no symptoms that that was the case. Usually, when that happens, you develop a fever, clearly a very irritated, bright red wound. Like there's all kinds of stuff. You feel sick. It's an infection.
Right.
You're not gonna be feeling good. I felt totally fine. I felt it was almost as if there was nothing wrong with me. I felt
But
so good.
which is so scary because if you have such high elevated blood pressure, which could lead to what, stroke, heart attack, fucking
Yeah.
imminent death, and you
Yeah.
just feel fine. That's how people just drop the fuck dead.
Well, dude, that's why people, especially young people, when you hear like a guy in his 30s or 40s has a heart attack and
Mm-hmm.
dies,
Mm-hmm. He had
it's
nothing wrong.
probably because he genetically was just born with high blood pressure and probably didn't get checkups, probably didn't get physicals, and probably never checked his blood pressure. And it was
Mm.
probably extremely high for 10 years
Right.
without being, monitored or put on a medication. And yeah, it's the silent killer, dude.
Yeah.
There are almost no symptoms to high blood pressure. You
Which is
have to
crazy.
check it. Yeah,
God damn it.
it's scary. It's very
I
scary.
check I check my internet rate daily. I do a speed test on my internet almost probably 4 or 5 times a week. I
Okay, well, maybe swap out one of those for your blood pressure.
Why wouldn't I do that instead?
It's again, obviously that's not the only thing. There's a lot of genetics that come into people obviously having heart attacks in their 40s. But it does happen, and a big part of it is usually blood pressure related. So that's why it's good if you don't like checking your blood pressure at home, go see your doctor then and have them do it. I will say is don't trust those fucking machines at CVS or the grocery store because those don't work.
Really?
Blood pressure machines need to be recalibrated, and nobody is going into the grocery store and recalibrating those things.
I've never seen anybody like on one knee checking that thing.
Never, never. They put those things, they set them and forget them. That no one's ever touched those again. So, so yeah, of course, and again, it's very nerve wracking when you hear doctors saying bone infection, joint infection, possible blood infection, and there are situations where there are no symptoms, like what I'm having right now, zero symptoms, but there is an infection. So they do all those tests, and by the time I finish my CT scan, they are ready to admit me to the hospital. They found a room for me, and I get brought up to the fourth floor. And that is the beginning of my 7-day stay on the fourth floor at the hospital.
I'm saying 10 grand a day?
Dude, you know what's so funny is I was watching Seinfeld last night, and
Me
I
too,
think
by the way.
hell yeah. I think it's season 2. George thinks he has a heart attack.
Oh
So like
yeah.
it starts off with like George in the hospital.
Hmm.
And dude, I mean, just Jason Alexander is just such an incredible actor. He's going through
Jim.
this whole monologue of like, I'm gonna change my life. I'm gonna eat better. And then Jerry and Elaine are just not paying attention, and he just snaps. But my point is, there's a moment in the scene where they basically tell George that he needs to get his tonsils removed,
Yeah.
and George goes to Jerry, "What do you think that costs? You know, how much do you think how much do you think that is?"
He
And
was a new man for a second.
this is 1990,
Hmm.
early 90s, and
Hmm.
Jerry goes, a couple of nights in the hospital, routine surgery, I don't know, like 3 or 4 grand. And I'm like, wow,
I
that
know.
is could you imagine if today
Yeah.
you went to the hospital to get your tonsils removed and you spend 4 days in the hospital and they go, all right, your total's 29.50, and you're like, what?
Yeah. I mean, the entire Seinfeld show, every time I watch it back, I'm just like, this whole show is about basically inflation. Because like his apartment was like too much or his parking space was too much. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
I know but so yes, according to your radio math there,
Hmm.
um, not cheap,
All right. You don't have
not
to say.
not cheap. I don't even know at this point.
Okay.
I
Okay.
I I have like my online hospital portal. I
Yeah.
I will be ignoring that for this until I'm healthy again. Until I don't have a fucking IV currently in my arm,
We
I'm
got to
not
talk about
worrying
that.
about how much money I owe.
Yeah. It's just going to raise your blood pressure
We'll
anyway.
we'll get we'll get to that at some point.
Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, so I get checked into the hospital.
Fourth floor.
4th floor. Immediately, I hear a man screaming through the wall in the room next to me. Just a man, grown man, just screaming. Not like at the nurse, but like in pain screaming,
Hmm.
like help me screaming. Not a great way to start. So, all right, it's time to take some deep breaths, maybe turn the TV on, and
Hmm.
I'll wait for somebody to come in and talk to me. So, eventually, a doctor shows up that next morning because I'm in the ER for like 4 hours. Then I get checked in to the 4th floor, and by that point, it's fucking Miller time, baby. Those doctors are going home. They're gone,
Yeah.
and you don't
Yeah.
see a doctor until the next morning. So I basically was just hanging out until the next morning. So 9 a.m., a whirlwind of doctors. So first doctor that shows up is the surgical assistant. He walks in and goes, "All right, look, the plan is we have to cut you open and we need to check the hardware. We need to see if the hardware in your leg is covered in bacteria."
This is the metal.
This is yes, when I say hardware, I mean all of the metal that they used to hold my bones together so that they could heal.
Hmm.
So he goes, "What we got to get in there. It's unfortunate, but there's no other way for us to know really how bad this infection is without opening you up and physically looking at the hardware."
Okay.
They're also
Oof.
going to swab the hardware and use that to figure out what the infection and bacteria is, and then use that as a way to create a specific antibiotic to fight that infection.
You're
So,
fucking Iron Man.
so I go, this blows, but all right, man, let's fucking do it. We got to do it. We got to do it. I go, is my surgeon who did the original surgery, I'm assuming he's going to do this surgery. And he goes, well, unfortunately, your surgeon is stuck in New Jersey right now. He went to go visit family, and all of the snowstorms has canceled every flight back to Arizona. So we're going to delay
Oh,
your surgery one
God.
day. One day. We're going to delay your surgery just one day. He's confident he's going to be able to get a flight out tomorrow. We're going to push it one day. I go, all right, sounds good. He leaves. In walks my normal, this is just the normal floor doctor. She comes in, introduces herself, goes over basically what the surgeon sort of explained to me, does the normal doctor stuff, listening to my heart, checking my blood pressure, sort of explaining what the plan is. why they're going to be drawing blood every day and blah 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 blah. Just this is just like your normal doctor, just explaining what's going on. Answers all my questions. I go, cool. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you. I guess we'll have more to discuss once I know my surgical date, whatever. She leaves. In comes another woman with a mask on who's a doctor. And she goes, "Hi. My name's Kim. I work for the infectious disease department,
All
and
right.
I'm in charge of dealing with the infectious disease you currently have."
Can I get that other fucking doctor that wasn't so goddamn specific, please? Because now I feel troubled.
I mean, her title is literally infectious disease, whatever, doctor.
And she's got a mask on.
And she's wearing a mask. Almost everybody was wearing a mask.
Oh, okay. It's a hospital. My
It's a
bad.
hospital. It's flu season. I was glad I was not wearing one. I wore a mask the entire time I was in the emergency room. As soon as I found out I was having surgery and that I was going to be in the hospital, I did slightly give up on everything and threw that mask in the trash.
Fuck
And I went,
that shit.
I'm done. I just wanted to try and be a little bit comfortable. And
Mhm.
I felt okay. I'm a big mask guy. I wear my mask still in certain situations, but I'm in a hospital. I'm in the emergency room. I'm going to wear a mask. These nurses are working in an emergency room. They're seeing a million people. I don't want whatever they're getting. But once I'm upstairs on like an admitted floor with the same people, a rotation of the same nurses, and they're all wearing masks, I felt comfortable enough just peeling that thing off and just going, it is what it is. What am I going to do? Also get the flu? Who gives a shit? So she walks in with a mask. By the way, this infectious disease doctor, I'm pretty sure I'm older than she is.
Oh no.
Maybe we're the same age, but she's not older than me.
Did you have any like tribulations? I don't know if that's a word. Did you have any fears that like you're now seeing people that are obviously younger than you that are
It
tackling your stuff?
it makes you feel a little bit old because you
Yeah.
go, oh yeah, I'm a dude. My surgeon was the same age as me.
Yeah, that's weird.
We're at the point now in our lives where
Hmm.
these type of jobs are going
Professionals.
to be
Yeah.
done by the same age group that we are.
Hmm.
They're at that point now. And
Hmm.
I went back and forth on it. My thought was, okay, so you get the older doctor, right? He comes with the experience, but he's also been at a medical school for 90 years and
Hmm.
isn't maybe as current as a
I get
young
it.
doctor would
I
be.
like that. Okay.
Now, the young doctor doesn't come with the experience that the older doctor has, but they come with fresh ideas and fresh out of school, and they're
Yeah.
like up on what's happening today. So I
Cutting
think there's
edge.
there's positives and negatives to both.
Mhm.
They've clearly finished medical school and were approved by the hospital and given a job. So you gotta just kind of have to trust them at that point.
Wow. Okay. Woo,
Well, I mean, how do you
man.
how do you feel? What would you prefer? Would you rather have older or younger?
I always like old Asian man. I don't want any young.
You're
Mhm.
in my current situation. What do you want?
Well, and I'm not trying to bury the lead here or even show what we're talking about, but you have some stuff that's actually cutting edge stuff that has to happen to you. You have stuff. I mean, I know we'll get into it, but you need specialists. And specialists, in my opinion, I don't give a shit how young or old they are. I just want somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing. And if that means that they're my age or they're a little younger than me, I wouldn't care in your position. I would just want the best of the best. And I think you got it, to be honest.
They were either capable or very convincing. You never know, I guess. But
That's true.
everybody really, I mean, the floor doctor who was kind of in charge of kind of running the show day to day, she was not much, but she was definitely older than me, so that was like kind of comforting. She had like almost like a stern mother vibe that I really enjoyed. So
Gotta love that in the hospital.
yeah, she was kind of exactly what you're looking for. But the infectious disease woman, clearly a very intelligent woman, was she seemed like somebody I could like be friends with. She was like a little silly. I was trying to be silly and make jokes. So
Yeah.
like she kind of got into it. I got her to curse a couple of times, and she like
Oh, nice.
got like weird and like apologized, and I was like, no, please
Say
say
fuck.
fuck. She did multiple times, and I was like,
Hell yeah.
I love this.
Yes.
So, because there were she would say things, and I would just go, fuck that. Like I just couldn't say. I didn't know what else to say.
Right. Give me
So
an instance. Give me one instance
I'll
real
tell
quick where
you.
you were like,
So
yeah.
I'll so she comes in, explains sort of some of the stuff I already explained, which was they need to get in, they need to cut me open, they need to get the bacteria off of the hardware, they need to find out what's going on in there so that they could develop an antibiotic specific to what I'm dealing with. So she explains all of that. She explains that it takes at least 2 to 3 days for the bacteria to grow before they could actually make the antibiotic. So I'm going to be here for a couple of days after surgery just because of that, blah, blah, blah. She explains all that stuff. So, of course, I go, all right. So, I'm assuming once you figure it out, the antibiotic will be an oral antibiotic, something that I take by mouth once a day, twice a day. Like, what's the deal? And she goes, the antibiotic will not be an oral antibiotic. And the reasoning for that is, and I didn't know this. I don't know if you know this. When you take an oral antibiotic, you're actually only getting 30 to 40% of the medicine because your body filters most of it out. It's
Because it's going,
going through your
going,
liver, it's going through your
right.
kidneys, and they're filtering out a lot of the medication. So you're not even really getting, I think that's partially why you sometimes have to take something twice a day so that
Mm-hmm.
you're getting more of it. And it's why you have to take it for a certain amount of time.
I mean, I'm not comparing. I'm not bragging, but I just had an ear infection, Rob. It's pretty bad. It was pretty fucking terrible.
Sounds, hey,
Um,
look, hey, I'm not, ear infections suck.
oh man, this
It's,
was.
we're not comparing here, but it's still not fun.
Let's not compare. But man, this was bad. But when they
Yeah.
gave me the antibiotic, they gave me like basically. I think it's to your point. They basically gave me 2 doses of it, and
Yeah.
the nurse told me take all of it, even if you feel better.
Yeah. You got
And
to finish it.
I think that's for that reason because
Yeah.
I'm only getting less than half of it. So even though I feel better, I got to finish the dose. I did not because I thought I might get another ear infection. I don't want to pay $100 again to get more of this shit. So I held on to some. I creeped some. I still got them. I know you're shaking your head, but
Wow.
I still have some in case it happens again. And my ear infection hasn't come back, but I understand what you're saying. If if
Okay.
I'm
But you
putting
do
something in my
realize that,
yes,
the amount that you probably saved will probably not even be enough to cure another ear infection.
I know. I'm cheap as fuck, dude.
But that doesn't, the theory that you have doesn't make sense.
All right. That's what she said too. You sound like her. You sound like you've been in a hospital for fucking 2 weeks, asshole.
I'm
You're a
basically a
doctor now.
doctor at this point. Okay, I get the thought behind it, but you do you, brother.
I know
Whatever.
you're
I'm
right.
glad your ear infection didn't come back though.
What's that? I can't hear you.
So the infectious disease woman goes, and this is where I start just blurting out "fuck that"
Hmm.
to this very educated, sweet young woman.
Hmm.
She goes, "Well, you're not going to be taking an oral antibiotic. What we're going to need to do is we're going to need to give you a PICC line, which
Mm.
is an IV that stays in your arm for 6 weeks." Now, I'm this is the low end. A lot of people get a PICC line. It's in for 3 months. It's in for 4 months. People get PICC lines that are going through chemotherapy. People are getting PICC lines for a lot of different things that are way worse than what I'm going through. So
And just so
I'm
we are clear, it's PICC. If anybody wants to look that shit up.
Yeah, PICC. Give it a Google. It's terrifying. So she goes, "We're gonna have to give you a PICC line." And basically what that means is we are inserting a IV into your upper arm. The IV will go in your arm, up through your shoulder, into your chest, and then down right above your heart.
To your fucking heart.
And it's all basically going through a major vein. Just picture like a tube, and then you put a string in a tube, and then you slowly pull the string through the tube. The tube is the vein, so it's one of the larger veins in your body, and they're basically sticking an IV in it, and it's going all the way through and then right above my heart.
Is this like akin to like a catheter, essentially?
Like a central line is something that
Okay.
you could compare it to.
All
It's
right.
basically just a permanent IV that the point is the reason it sits right above your heart and it's in this specific vein is that when they administer the medicine is going to be pumped by it's going to go through your vein into this vein that goes into your heart, and then the heart is going to push back out all of the blood that it's distributing through your body, and by doing that it's going to be distributing the antibiotic all throughout your body, which is what they want because the bacteria could be anywhere. So it's got to be distributed through your entire body. And the best way to do that is your heart because your heart is pumping blood to support you staying alive. So
This is why you said, "Fuck you. I'm not doing this."
once she tells me that it's got to sit above my heart, it just freaks me. It's just you're already overwhelmed, and then you find out that you got to have this thing in your arm, and it's going in a vein near your heart. You don't. I just didn't expect that at all. I was mentally prepared to have surgery again and to be on antibiotics, and all of that sucked. But I was more than happy to go through that again. And then you find out that this whole new thing, I've never heard of a PICC line before. It was just a lot of new info and it's
Yeah.
scary, man. It's just
Yeah.
it's scary.
That's terrifying information. I mean, my God, to have something that's like basically implanted in you just to get rid of an infection. And just quick recap, you busted your leg. Like the
I
fact that
broke
this
my
is the
fucking
solution.
ankle. Dude, I was telling this to a friend the other day. I remember when I was in the ambulance going to the hospital, and I'm like, this blows. I can't believe I just broke my ankle, but whatever. I'm going to go to the hospital. I'll probably spend a couple hours in the ER. They'll put a cast on it and I'll go home. I
Mhm.
remember saying to the nurse, like, I'll be home in a couple of hours, probably, right?
Without a
And
cast.
in a cast. And then
Mhm.
I should have known immediately that when the surgeon walked in and goes, "You're not going home. You're having you have to have surgery immediately." Like that was just the beginning of the end, man. And then of course you don't assume that that after surgery you're going to get an infection. I mean,
Right.
dude, I read online that surgical infections like this happen to 1 to 3% of people. So, I mean, it's such a small percentage of people. But
This might be personal. You don't have to, but have they given you any reason? Have they figured out any reason why maybe you were more susceptible to the contagion or whatever?
it's not about being more susceptible. It's that I had this skin irritation that got infected. It
Mm.
started out as a skin infection, and whether we just, I mean, essentially, I'm going to get to it, but basically, what they ended up figuring out was that I got a staph infection.
Okay.
So staph
Common.
basically is very common. It sort of lives on the skin,
Mhm.
and the fact that I had a major surgery and my immune system is weak and I have a giant open, I just had my leg sliced open. So somebody didn't wash their hands properly, or I touched something, somebody touched a thing, and staph got on my leg and basically just attacked the first thing it saw, which was basically this blister on my leg.
So that's how, I mean, I don't know if this is even interesting for anybody listening, but that's how staff works. It's like something bad happened in the healing process somewhere along the line.
Yeah, yeah.
Could it be at
Basically,
home or is it always in the hospital?
who knows, man. I mean, you're going to follow up appointments. You got surgical assistants, you got nurses, everyone's touching you.
Yeah, fucking
All it takes is
Ubers.
uh, all it takes is one person to not properly wash their hands, and you're fucked.
God damn it.
So, infectious disease doctor tells me I got to get this PICC line. I go, fuck that. Is there any other option? I just want to know if there's any other way we could do it without the PICC line. And she
Mhm.
goes, I could look into it, but you're gonna want the PICC line. It's really the best option. So whatever. I go, fine, let's do the PICC line.
But how long did it take you to get there?
It took a full day. for me to
to
agree.
say I'll do it.
She had to come back and talk to me again for like another hour.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you did you after she leaves, are you like absolutely fucking not? There's no fucking
Yep.
way I'm
No,
doing that. This is scary as shit.
I start texting my sister who's a nurse and I go,
Right.
what the fuck's a pick line? Should I do this? And of course, my sister said the same thing. She goes, it's very common. They do them every day. Millions and millions of people have pick lines. You're going to be fine. It sucks, but you should absolutely do it because it's just not worth it. And I'm obviously I'm a reasonable person, and what makes more sense? I have a bacteria growing inside of me. Do you want the thing that's only going to fight it 30%, or do you want the thing that's going to fight it 100%? You go 100%, even if it sucks, even if you don't want to do it, you do it. It just sucks.
Yeah.
What? How about a sip of that? How about a sip of that Panera charged lemonade?
This guy wants me right next to him. We're gonna get double grave sites, dude. I'm coming right next to you,
I'll
bud.
I'll pay for your grave if you die.
All right, here we go. And should
Okay.
I check my BP real
Yeah,
quick
yeah,
or
yeah.
my
Check it. Check
heart
it.
rate?
Yeah.
Okay, heart rate. What was the last one?
It was
70
like
something.
74, I think.
Okay, I'm at 90.
Shut up.
I'm at 90 on 2 sips. But let's see.
Okay. All
Let's see if we
right.
can. Let's see if we can hit 100. I can't believe I'm doing this. This is so fucking stupid. I'm not even making any money off this, everyone. Not a dime. This is
Oh,
for everyone's entertainment.
I will say I didn't pitch this idea. You pitched the idea.
This is really stupid. This is really dumb for me. But let's see. Also, I could be elevated because your story is pretty
Well,
terrifying.
yeah, and I mean, look. It's I'm sure there's many factors into why. It seems like you're also doing some sort of tobacco.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that
I'm doing Zens. Yeah, that ain't
okay?
helping.
That also is going to raise your heart rate, bud.
God, dude, don't. You're a doctor now, huh? You're a doctor?
No, I just also enjoy the occasional tobacco product, and I know how they work.
This
Uh,
is nicotine.
okay, you know what I mean. Same thing. All right. So they come back. They go, look, we could give you oral antibiotics, but again, 30 to 100%. It's just not worth it. I respond a few more times with, God damn it, what the fuck? This is
Hmm.
God damn it.
Yeah.
In the most respectful way possible. It's fun. I have a smile on my face while I'm saying these things, but
I
it's
bet you're a good patient as far
I
as they
am.
were
Dude,
concerned.
I'm the best. They loved me, okay?
Did you think about that at all? Like how
Of
everyone
course, you
else is
think I
so
don't want
shit?
them to like me? I'm a
Of course.
psychopath.
Me too,
I
man.
could be on the fucking operating table. They could be trying to bring me back to life, and one side of my brain's going, I can't. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm about to die. The other side of my brain goes, I hope they like me.
Yeah, let me throw up one hand for a high five. Let me fist bump. Let me fist bump one guy. I
You
would
think
be the
I
same
don't
way.
want the cool young surgeon to want to be my friend?
This guy's probably
Hit
hot.
me,
Like even if he's not, he's a surgeon.
dude. He was like, I mean, look, I don't want to get into too much details here, but he's got the cool glasses, he's got the
Oh, nice.
the tight scrubs on,
Oh,
clearly in
nice.
shape. He's a cool looking dude.
Does he have those clear? Everybody's doing the clear glasses now,
Oh
like the
yeah, yeah,
clear
yeah,
frames.
yeah. Oh yeah, something very similar to that. Yeah, he's
Badass.
he's a cool dude. All right, he's
Rounded
got
frames.
he's got like like the hip looking new kind of scrubs. They're not just like the plain one.
Tuxedo
I
scrubs.
want the guy at the end of when they're getting ready to send me home. You imagine that he's like running
You want to
down the
hang
hall to
out?
be like, "Yo, let me get your number. Like we can get a
Yeah.
beer, right?"
Let's get a beer.
I of course. I mean, that's
100%.
how, dude. I mean, I had therapy today. You think I don't try and make I'm trying to make my therapist laugh the entire time?
Wow.
Come on, are
Wow.
you kidding
Yeah.
me?
I 100% would be the same way. I
If
don't know if it's
if
good,
I
but
don't get a solid at least one belly laugh from my therapist from a session, it's a waste of a fucking session because I don't even remember what we talked about.
now
Because
I'm
all
going
I'm
home
thinking
depressed,
is,
you
I'm
bitch.
like, does she hate me? Am I not funny anymore?
We're fucked, dude. We are
I'm
fucked.
a mess. I'm a mess.
Oh God.
So, I mean, look, we don't have to belabor this too much. So essentially, I go, okay, cool. We'll do the pick line. Fine, whatever. I go into surgery. My surgeon snowed in, man, can't come. Got to have a different surgeon do it.
I've been
Again,
there.
another cool looking, probably 37-year-old man comes over, just cool as a cucumber, pulls the mask down, goes, "Hey, man, I'm Dr. Williams. This is what we're doing today. We're going to take good care of you," and explains the surgery. I sign my life away, basically saying if I
Hmm.
die, I'm approving all of this.
I get no
Uh,
money.
you got to sign the thing saying if we got to do a blood transfusion, will you allow that? Who do you want us to call after the surgery? If you're alive or dead, whatever. So let's do it, baby. They fucking wheel me in, throw me on that operating table, and 10 seconds later, I'm done. What feels like 10 seconds later, everything's done. I mean, dude, anesthesia is crazy.
That's a dream. I mean, like in the same way that like you can't count your dreams, they say like when you dream, it's like it feels like an hour, it's 10 seconds. It's the same shit, right?
I mean, dude, I was on, they had to do a little bit of extra prep, I think, for whatever reason, while I was on the operating table. So it didn't happen immediately, but as soon as they go, "All right, Rob, we're gonna start the anesthesia," they go, "Yeah, we're gonna take good, everyone, we're gonna take good care of you," and then it's over, and then
Wow.
I'm waking up, and it's over, and they gave me Dilaudid, I believe.
Mm,
Give that a Google if you could. I
sure.
believe it's called Dilaudid. Dilaudid or Dilaudin.
I think it's Daludin.
Either way, they give
Hmm.
me that, and then they give me fentanyl for the pain, obviously after the surgery. I have never been more fucked up in my entire life. I was on another planet, and it wasn't even the fun kind. Like I was so high from pain meds that I couldn't even enjoy it. It was like too much. I'm telling the
So
doctors, I'm telling the nurses, I'm like, this is insane. I feel like a crazy person. And the best they could do is like, all right, here, eat some crackers, drink some water, like you'll start feeling better. The pain meds will wear off. But dude, it took like 6 hours. And it was honestly the worst part of the entire stay was recovering from the fentanyl and did you find out what the other one was?
it's called Dilaudid. It is an anti-seizure medication.
Okay. All right. So,
That's probably what fucked you up.
dude, or it could have been the fentanyl. I mean,
That
dude,
seems fun though.
it was not fun. Honestly, the worst part of my entire experience was the pain meds they gave me out of surgery. I have never felt like that in my entire life. I'd never want to feel like that ever again. It was awful.
All right, so I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Let's get into your drug history a little bit. You're not
Sure.
inexperienced for sure.
I mean, have I eaten probably more mushrooms than a grown adult should?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or a
Yeah.
rabbit in a forest. Yeah, you have.
Yep. I've definitely done, but I also didn't do mushrooms until I was in my 30s. So
Okay.
I had a fully developed brain. I feel like that helps you a little bit. But I mean, that's it though.
Okay.
I've never
Okay.
done acid. I've never done anything stronger than weed and mushrooms.
But you have in this experience dealt with the hug of God that I call any sort of oxys or, any
Sure.
opioid. Okay. But this took you to a bad place. Was it shaky? Was it spinny?
It was just like I felt like I had no control. It felt like the drugs were like controlling how I felt,
Your
if that
brain
makes
was
any
awake.
sense.
I get it. Your brain was awake, but like your body and your brain were just
Yeah, like,
disconnected.
and I just like I couldn't stop talking. Like I was just so uncomfortable that like I had to keep bringing it up. Like, and I'm fucked up at this
Mm.
point. Like I'm coming out of anesthesia. I'm on fentanyl and a million other drugs, and it was just incredibly uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is
Yeah.
probably the best word. I've never felt so uncomfortable in my entire life. And you're
Wow.
also just like at the will of everyone else. Like I can't move. I'm stuck in a bed. All I
Hmm.
got is like a cup of water and some crackers. It was just
Yeah.
it was awful.
I know
But
that feeling in a
yeah,
way. But I mean, like not to that extent, but like to
sure.
where you're constantly like, I'm fucked. And then you're like, All right, I gotta chill. I'm fucked again. Oh shit, I'm fucked one more time. You
I
just
will,
keep
yeah.
keep getting fucked in your mind.
I will say, usually when I am recreationally doing drugs and I
Uh-huh.
have a bad trip or a bad experience, I am in my mind thinking I'm gonna die. In this situation, I did not feel like I was gonna die because I knew it was all done by medical professionals and like I'm in a hospital. So
Professional drug dealer.
there was no like fear or anxiety. It was again just uncomfortable. The
Wow.
drugs were just so strong. And I'm not built
Ugh.
for that, man. I mean, dude, I probably have taken Tylenol maybe 3 times in the past 15 years.
Amen,
Like,
dude.
I
Same
don't
here.
take any of that stuff.
Me
I haven't
neither.
had a headache since 1994. Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason for me to ever take that stuff. I
I'm the
never
same.
did, like Vicodin or the only time I ever took Vicodin, it was like, I got my wisdom teeth out. You know what I mean? Like,
All
so
right.
I'm just like, I'm not built for that. It was, it was uncomfortable. To wrap things up here, I have my surgery. Everything goes well. Big surprise, doctors were right, and almost 90% of the metal in my leg was covered in bacteria and infected. So they removed almost every piece of metal in my leg. They use a powder. It's a antibiotic powder that they basically just cover the inside of your ankle and your leg with to disinfect and to clean out the ankle. The whole surgery, I think, took 45 minutes. They stitch you back up and they throw you back on the fourth floor. And I wake up with my leg wrapped. I'm in a boot again. That goddamn boot makes a return. And to just also have a little extra care on the wound to make sure there's no moisture or anything. They put like this suction vac on your leg, and you could see it now because I'm showing it to you, but it's basically this little black box here, and it's
Mm-hmm.
attached to a hose. And I
Mm-hmm.
basically just have to carry this around for the next 2 weeks. As anytime it detects any moisture, it just sucks it up. It's crazy. I had to stay in the hospital for another 3 days as they waited for the bacteria to grow and for them to figure out the type of medication. And as soon as they figured that out, they set my ass walking. I got home on Tuesday. It's today's Friday, so I got home on Tuesday, and
It's Friday.
I have a home care nurse now for the next 6 weeks that comes to my apartment once a week now for the next 6 weeks, and they drop off a week's worth of antibiotic. They got to throw it in my fridge, and they change the dressing on my arm once a week just to make sure everything's sterile and clean and whatever. But I have to shoot the medicine into my IV myself every morning now. So I'm responsible for taking 4 different syringes and cleaning my PICC line with an alcohol rub, attaching it to the IV, and then slowly pushing it into my arm every day for the next 6 weeks.
And you don't get a degree for this or a bump in
I don't
pay
even
or
get I don't even get what's it called? An honorary doctorate? I mean, I
can
get
you get
nothing.
something for even from like Glendale Community College? Can we get like Grand
I
Canyon University on this?
I take an honorary degree hanging on the wall.
God
It's
damn.
crazy, man. So like
Ugh.
basically you start with saline solution, which is basically clearing the PICC line. So I shoot that in there. Then I get the medicine, I hook that up to the IV, and I set a timer for 5 minutes, and I slowly push the IV and slowly push the medicine into my arm for 5 minutes.
How do you know how slowly to push that in to not get bubbles or all that shit that
Well,
can
there's no
fucking kill you?
so the syringe is a plastic syringe. I'm not using any needles
I know, but why do you say slowly?
just because it's a strong antibiotic, and if you just shoot it into you all at once, it could make you nauseous, it could make you sick. It's just ideally 5 minutes is like the guideline to just slowly administer the medicine so you don't get any sort of nausea or sickness. So
Okay.
I do so
Here,
I do that for 5 minutes, then I remove that, then I wipe it with another alcohol swab, then I shoot another saline solution into my arm to clear the line again, and then I have this other medicine that basically clears the line and also helps prevent the possibility of any blood clotting in my arm. and shoot that into my arm. And then I have to wipe everything down with alcohol wipes again, wrap the IV around my arm, and then cover it up, and then just start my day.
All right. Let me have a sip. Let me have a sip. Just
Go
get on
ahead
your
and
level.
go ahead and take another sip of that lemonade.
It's not good. It is good. That's the problem. It's
It does
fucking really
taste
good.
good, right? Yeah.
It's delicious.
Now imagine if you didn't know that that was filled with enough caffeine to murder a person.
But yeah, if I was a
You would
fucking garbage
you'd be
man.
chugging that thing.
Ugh. All
How's
right.
that heart rate?
Let's check. It says I'm back down to 79.
Good. All right,
Can't
there you
believe
go.
that. Let's measure. Let's see. But in the meantime, this will
Yeah.
take like 20 seconds. You're not fucking, you're being very nonchalant about this. You're being like very cool about it.
Yeah.
This is not the fucking craziest shit. Could you even have imagined in your lifetime that this is even a possibility to administer this kind of shit at home
It's
by
crazy.
yourself?
It's nuts, man. And obviously we sort of explained the idea behind the pick line and why it's so valuable. If I couldn't do this before this was an option, I would have had to stay in the hospital for 6 weeks, and they would have had to have done it themselves. And they would have constantly had to have poked me with needles and IVs, and it essentially would destroy your veins. Like it's just not how you administer a drug like this. Something that needs to be given for 6 weeks. This is the only way to do it. But yes, it's insane. The whole thing's crazy. Again,
Yeah.
I thought, dude, I thought I was getting a cast and I was going home in a few hours when I broke my
Hmm.
ankle. If you would have told me on the way to the hospital that eventually I would have an IV in my arm for 6 weeks and I would be administering antibiotics on my own, I would have thought you were a crazy person. I would have said, no way. What are you talking about? I broke my ankle.
I broke my ankle. I feel like I knew so many kids that broke their ankles.
I broke it the real good way. I broke it the way that ruins your life for 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, you're working on a fucking half a year here. But
Yeah.
have you ever broken a bone before?
Nope. First time. Really did it.
Oh my God.
First one. And it will be my only one. And I'll tell you why.
Because
Because
you're not
I
leaving the house.
I will never go up or down a hill ever again. I won't. I will not do it. If there's a man with a machete chasing me and the
Cut
only
my head off.
escape is down or up a hill, I will take the machete.
Give me that machete, bro.
Fine.
I've already seen what this is like.
Because with my luck, he'd trip and fall and land on the machete, and then I'd slip and break my other ankle trying to escape.
You would tell the machete guy, be careful, there's a hill here.
What's so funny is the first nurse that showed up was this guy, probably 38 years old. Of course, everybody wants to know how you break your ankle, and he goes, "How'd you break your ankle?" And I go, "Where'd you park?" And he goes, "Oh, I parked over by the that grass patch over there." And I go, "Right, I broke it right over there, going down that hill." I go, "Did you walk down the hill?" He goes, "Yeah." And as I was running down the hill and running back up, he goes, "I was thinking about how bad my back is and how much this hurts." And I go, "Probably want to maybe do the long way around to get back to the car just in case."
Find some steps.
Oh man, I got to tell you a couple of things about that guy, unrecorded, and remind me
Oh, okay.
afterwards.
Nice, nice, nice.
Just the craziest thing. I mean, shout out to all of our doctors and nurses, especially our nurses, because the nurses do so much. It seems like it's really a thankless job. I know they get paid relatively well, and that's good. I'm glad, but
No, it's a
couldn't
hard job.
imagine couldn't
Yeah.
couldn't imagine doing it. But I am thankful. 7 days, couldn't believe it, and yeah, here we are now. I hope one person found any of this interesting.
I did.
I'm glad.
It
So
was for
okay, I
us.
hope I hope two people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is some fun bonus content that we're gonna put out. Why not? I do like to share obviously what's going on in my life a little bit, and this is very much on brand. I think maybe we do one more of these when I'm done, and
Yes.
hopefully it's a positive episode, and I'm here telling all of you that I'm cured, that I'm healed, and that it's all over.
I
Because
just want to say Go
if
ahead.
it's
Sorry.
not it because if if it's not all better and I'm not all healed, I will kill myself. All right, go ahead.
I just want to say sincerely, dude, like it's been mind-boggling to me. And I know that the start of this, like, is kind of why we're doing this together. And I know that I'm not the only one. I'm sure you have you I've always loved how great your friends were. I've always loved everybody that you introduced me to, and I know that everybody's caring for you, and I'm sure, dude, that everybody wants this shit to be over because this is such an ordeal, and I don't know how I would handle it. And the way you've handled it, great, nice, all that, but it's got to be done. I'm so tired of wondering about you. And I am. I'm just like, I just really want this to be the last thing. I think you made the right decision with getting that pick line. I know that was a hard decision. I hope this is the end of it, really.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, me too, man. I really do. I would like to get back to some normalcy and not have this whole thing just sort of hanging over my head. So, yeah, 6 weeks. 6 weeks is going to go by real quick. I mean, it's nothing. I'm so lucky that
Good.
it's only 6 weeks. And yeah, I really hope this is the end of it. And yeah.
Let me do one more of these. Hold on, one more sip.
All
Let me
right.
check.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One more sip.
Okay, so I'm about, I don't know,
Let
dude.
me
I'm like,
see. Let me see. Put it
I'm
up to the
about, I'm
camera. Let
about
me
two
see.
inches down in this thing.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you barely had it, and that's fine because I wouldn't have
Shut
one
up.
sip.
All right, two
What's the
inches
heart?
is enough for me.
What's the heart rate?
We'll see. We'll see right now. This thing is like, go to the hospital. I've been up and down all night on it. Let's see. Oh, 85. Ain't bad.
Not bad at all.
I'm gonna chug
Now,
this right now, see what we got.
now, if you drank that whole thing, yeah, probably a different story. But
Yeah.
all right. Shout out Panera Bread. We love you.
And your
Godspeed.
shit is not poisonous, guys, apparently.
Well, I mean, tell that to the guy who died on the sidewalk.